Welcome to Nursing Simplified, the smart way to survive nursing school. Have you ever wondered how the oxygen that we breathe in transports to the cells of our body? Are you tired of looking at confusing diagrams of the heart that don't make any sense? In today's episode, we are going to fix all of that by continuing our series on anatomy and physiology with the easiest way to remember how blood flows through the heart, the lungs, and eventually our body. I would love for you to stick around for future videos, so take a moment to hit that subscribe button and let's dive in. The cells of our body need nutrients and oxygen to survive and keep doing their jobs. So, how do we get the oxygen we breathe in to our cells? Well, it starts with one amazing muscle, our heart. So it's important for you to know what the heart's job actually is, because that will help you understand how it does its job. So oxygen poor blood, also known as deoxygenated blood, flows to the heart from the body. The heart pumps that blood to the lungs, where it picks up oxygen and gets rid of carbon dioxide. It then travels back to the heart, where our heart then pumps the oxygen-rich blood, or oxygenated blood, out to our body. But the anatomy of the heart can be so confusing. There are chambers, valves, blood vessels, and everything seems to cross over and overlap each other. And this makes it difficult to figure out the process. Let's look at this diagram quickly to see how the blood flows through the heart, and then I will show you my secret to understanding this so much better. Okay, so try to follow along with the arrows here. We're going to start with a drop of blood that was in the human finger. This blood is deoxygenated, meaning all of the oxygen has already been used up by the body's cells. It needs to get to the heart so it can be pumped to the lungs to pick up oxygen and then be spread throughout the body. It's going to get there through the vena cava. In this case, the superior vena cava, but more on that later. The blood enters the right atrium. The right atrium contracts, pushing the blood through the tricuspid valve down into the right ventricle. The right ventricle contracts, pumping the blood through the pulmonary valve to the pulmonary artery. By the way, when you see the word pulmonary, it likely involves the lungs. So I think this valve and artery are the easiest to remember. The pulmonary artery takes blood to the lungs, where the red cells in the blood will pick up oxygen and deposit carbon dioxide. Now this blood is oxygenated. Well, that's great, but how is it going to get to the cells in the body where we need it? It needs to return to the heart so that the heart can pump it throughout the body. And we're still dealing with blood coming to or from the lungs, so this will be the last time we have anything related to pulmonary. The oxygenated blood travels through the pulmonary veins to the left atrium. The left atrium contracts, and the blood travels through the mitral valve, also known as the bicuspid valve, into the left ventricle. The left ventricle contracts and pumps the blood through the aortic valve and out a really huge artery known as the aorta, which is the major artery that carries oxygenated blood through the body. But again, you think to yourself that this picture of the heart is so confusing. So, what if we laid out all the parts of the heart in a line to make it easier? I like to call this rooms, doors, and hallways, or the house of the heart. So first we have our rooms, or chambers. This is your right atrium, your right ventricle, your left atrium, and your left ventricle. Next, we have our doors, or our valves. And we start with our tricuspid, then our pulmonary or pulmonic, the bicuspid or mitral, and aortic valve. And we'll go ahead and add our lungs in here because they are a major player in this whole process. Next, we add our vessels. We have our superior and inferior vena cava, our pulmonary artery, our pulmonary veins, and our aorta. So when we lay it out and label it, it already looks so much easier. So now what we're going to do is follow a single drop of blood through the heart. All right, so our drop of blood enters the heart through our first hallways, the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava. The superior vena cava drains the blood from the upper part of the body, like the head, neck, and upper extremities, while the inferior vena cava drains it from the lower body, like the legs, pelvis, and abdomen. And both of these hallways carry the blood to our first room, the right atrium. The atria aren't strong enough to send the blood very far. That's why we have the ventricles, which are much more muscular and stronger. So the atrium sends the blood to our first door, the tricuspid valve. The door opens and the blood enters our next room, the right ventricle. The right ventricle is strong enough to get the blood to the lungs. So the ventricle squeezes down and the pressure opens our next door, the pulmonic valve. It then moves through the next hallway, the pulmonary artery, and to the lungs. Here, this little guy gets blasted with oxygen, and it also drops off its waste product, carbon dioxide. But now, how does the oxygen-rich blood get to the body? Well, the blood needs to travel through our next set of hallways, which are the pulmonary veins. These veins drain the blood into the left atrium. The left atrium compresses, opening the door to the bicuspid valve, sending the blood to our very last room, the left ventricle. The left ventricle is the strongest and most muscular of all the chambers. So when it squeezes down, it means business. The aortic valve door opens and the blood whooshes through the aorta, where it is then sent to the rest of the body. This blood circulates through the body to wind up taking the same trip through the heart over and over again. On average, it takes about 45 seconds for blood to circulate from the heart all around the body and back to the heart again. An average adult's heart beats more than 100,000 times a day. In fact, 6 quarts of blood can fully circulate throughout the body multiple times per minute. That totals thousands of round trips every single day. And now for a quick recap. Veins carry deoxygenated blood. Arteries carry oxygenated blood. Veins carry blood to the heart, while arteries call blood away from the heart. The vena cava has superior and inferior, while the aorta has ascending and descending. The right side of the heart is for deoxygenated blood, and the left side is for oxygenated blood. In addition, each side of the heart has 6 steps that a drop of blood has to take. On the right side, it goes through the vena cava, the right atrium, the tricuspid valve, the right ventricle, the pulmonic valve, and then the pulmonary artery. Then it goes to the lungs and hits the left side. And on the left side, we have the pulmonary veins, left atrium, bicuspid valve, left ventricle, aortic valve, and aorta. And there you have it. Today, we talked about the amazing heart and how blood flows through it. The human body is truly amazing, and we've only just scratched the surface. I hope you join me on the rest of our journey through anatomy and physiology. If you enjoyed this video or you learned something, please take a moment right now to click that like button. This helps other nurses and students like yourself find our videos. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel because you don't want to miss what's coming next. I hope this video helped you to gain knowledge and improve your confidence. But if you're ever feeling discouraged, I want you to remember you are beautiful, you are needed, you are loved, you are strong, and most of all, dear friends, you are enough. Now go out there and be the amazing nurse you were meant to be. And remember, nursing is a work of heart. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.